Welcome to this episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. I'm Aric.
And I'm Angie.
We are married with a ton of kids.
We have 6 kids total. He has 3 and I have 3.
My name's Hallie and I love riding horses.
I'm Lexi and I love agriculture.
My name's Carter and I love eating.
My name's Chase and I love lifting weights.
My name's Summer and I love spending my parents' money.
I'm Dane and I love baseball.
Our show is about our blended, blessed, and always a mess life. And our hope is if you find yourself in the same situation we are in, that by sharing our story, all the fun and all the mess, the challenges we are experiencing, it will give you some inspirations, laughs, and community, knowing you are not alone in this mess.
We appreciate you spending time with us. Let's dive in.
Welcome to this week's episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess, where we're trying something completely new. People keep telling us, yeah, it's not live, but it's recorded visually. People keep telling us to have a successful podcast that goes even farther. And a lot of people tell us that our podcast is doing incredibly well for the little bit of money we put behind it. But they're like, you want to go next level, you got to start recording it. So here we are in my Top Gun t-shirt. This is a casual night.
No makeup, because I had a massage and facial, and so I have a mask on that I'm not supposed to take off.
I didn't go makeup either.
Oh my
Good
God.
job.
Good job.
This is our living room. Welcome into our home. We have moved the setup from our recording studio into the living room. If it's too loud, if it's echoey, we don't know. We just thought we would try this and do it to see if people would enjoy it more or less. So you'll have multiple options to see the podcast this way, as apparently we're about to get a YouTube channel is what it feels like.
Maybe.
I don't
Who
know.
knows? That would be on me because I'm tech support.
She is tech support. We had this argument earlier. Like, what's your job? What's my job?
His job's to edit. Mine's everything else.
My job is to set up the equipment.
Just this.
And to edit. And to be the host with the most. And then I also help with some marketing. Things like that. I have a team for that, but it's fine. Anyway, so that's what we're doing. And welcome. We're glad to have you this week, where we thought we would talk about what we had originally set out to talk about when this podcast started a couple of years back, which is parenting. And parenting in a blended family, which, parenting in a nuclear family is challenging. And so to do it in a blended family continues to be even harder. Now do it in a family where your oldest child has passed, which later this month will be a full year, and it gets even more complicated. So that's what we thought we would talk about today. Some of the recent challenges that we've had, and maybe you can relate to some of them, and then we can all help each other.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get a break from parenting when you're grieving. I feel like it's almost the opposite in that you have to really make sure you're parenting them well because everybody's struggling and they almost need more support. But how do you do that when you're messed up yourself? I mean, that's literally what it feels like. Aric and I just had a long conversation tonight about acceptance and that, he's mad because all things are gone and it really sucks right now. It really sucks. And, my talk track back to him was you kind of have to move into not fighting against it and just know that this is hard and this is the way our life's going to be for a long time. So table that. We've talked a ton about that. How many past episodes about how hard it is. But the thing is, you still have to parent. And I kind of laughed when I started thinking about the content for this episode of all the parenting shit that we've had to deal with in the last month.
It's been a lot of things in the last month with our kids.
It's that doesn't stop.
So many things.
It doesn't stop.
Why can't they behave? What is happening?
I don't know.
And then you want to have empathy because Hallie's been gone almost a year. We're feeling it, so they're feeling it. But you're like, ugh.
It's all stuff they would have done normally. It's normal stuff. It just feels much heavier when you already have a load that you're carrying. We did make it through Halloween.
That was last night. So you'll hear this over the weekend. We were recording this on Wednesday the 1st. Halloween was last night. We only have one kid still trick-or-treating. That's Dane. He's 13. And he said, I'm going to replenish the candy stash for the family.
Yeah, we have one drawer in our kitchen that's the candy drawer. And it's been empty for a little while.
Empty. So he went out. He accomplished it. 10 pounds of candy. We weighed it.
Oh my God.
10 pounds. He did good.
But now you know what you're going to look forward to?
Don't say cavities because you brush your teeth.
Well, cavities too, but candy wrappers in the laundry.
And that's Chase. I'm going to tell you, I do all the laundry in this house. And I know tonight I can always tell when I have Chase's stuff. Tonight I had a pair of Chase's khakis from school. You know what came out of there? A candy wrapper and a mechanical pencil. And that's a regular thing that happens when I'm doing his laundry. That kid puts more things in his pockets. I swear to God, if I would have met him at 6, he would have had a snake in there. I mean, rocks and snakes is what Chase Phillips would have had in there. He puts everything in his pockets, honey.
We had a series of funerals like back to back to back. And I mean, for months, you found those mints.
From the funeral home.
From funeral home. And I mean, we're like, how many of those mints did you take?
He had to have taken 75. They were in there forever. Every time I would do the laundry, there would be more mints in the laundry. So made it through Halloween, did that last night with Dane. It was just him and I went around. I drove him around in our golf cart and he had a good time. So I don't know how many more of those we have, right? And you do kind of...
Maybe one.
You do kind of think
One more
about,
year.
like, I've got to kind of cherish these moments.
Yeah.
That I have learned in the last year without Hallie is that you don't know how many of these you get, so cherish them. So I took him in the cold. It was freezing. I was super bundled up. Drove him around in the golf cart. I had a coffee. But by the end of it, I will say this. He was very polite. I was paying attention.
Good.
A lot of thank yous. And then he'd be like, have a great night. I hope you enjoy your evening. So I was impressed with that. And then not only that, I'm a big yard guy. He wasn't even running through yards. He was taking like the long sidewalks.
Because we had that one trauma night.
I'm just saying to you, like by the end of the night, I was like, run through the yard. It's cold out here. I got to go. Like I'm freezing. Dad's freezing. Run through the yard at this point.
I thought you were going to say that first time we took all the kids trick-or-treating together when he stepped in dog poop.
No, but I remember that. I remember that.
You know, I think it happens to every family
2020,
at some point.
you got COVID the next day.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, that was you got COVID the next day.
Yeah, but dog poop, you know, as soon as you get in the car, it's like, oh God. But we actually saw him step in it.
We
and
did.
It
We
was
were
like, what is he doing
"Oh."
with his shoe? It was like he was going to eat it or something. I smell it. I don't know what he was doing.
I don't know. But he's advanced past
That
that.
happens to everybody. A kid steps because they're running through the grass. There's landmines.
So
there's landmines.
He didn't do that. He was going through sidewalks, being polite, and I was like, "Come home. It's cold. I'm tired. Dad's cold. Let's do this."
Yeah,
but
we thought, let's just share some of the parenting stuff that we've had to deal with. We won't name names, except
You'll figure some out.
We will call out Lexi because out of all the kids, Lexi, thank you for not causing us any problems. You take care of your own shit. You're mature. You are responsible, and
for God's sake, keep it up. I can't handle another one.
we're so proud of you.
She's 20 years old and she's, senior at Mizzou. Keep it up, honey. You're doing a great job.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And luckily, she's the only child that really listens religiously. I mean, Carter will
To our
occasionally listen.
podcast.
Yeah.
We could talk about all the kids because Lexi is the only one that listens. No one else listens.
No.
So we could totally name call them out.
She listens every week. Carter will be like, hey, I heard that episode. I'm like, that was 7 months ago. He's like, I know. I just got
That's the
around
only
to
one I
it.
listen to.
That's the only one. So I would say this to you. I shared earlier this week. I didn't share on the I don't have access to the Blended Blessed page. She didn't give me that. But on my personal page, I shared the episode from last year this time, and it was Lexi and Hallie talking about their Enneagram tests. And I listened to that through this week, and it was just, that's one of the great things about us having the Blended Blessed Always a Mess podcast is that I could go back and hear Hallie's voice and listen to her and her wisdom, because she was such a smart kid and the wisdom that she had about personalities and concepts and all those things. So if you are new to the podcast, you've never heard Hallie's voice, we have 2 episodes in season 1 with her on them. And that was one of them. And on my personal page, I shared that earlier this week. And so you can find that there. But anyway.
Yeah, I love that episode because she did so much research and prepping for it. She was excited to talk about it. And she loved psychology and personality test and stuff like that.
I would just say, before we move on to current parenting, one of the things that is really so hard right now, and we've talked about this personally, I've talked about this with my counselor, is that, here, as we come up on a year of Hallie being gone, a lot of people, well, it wasn't even your daughter. And it really bothers me. It really hurts my feelings because she was one of my very best friends. And we had several conversations in the month to 2 months leading up to her just tragic, untimely, unnecessary passing about how close we could become over the next 50 years of our lives together. And when I feel pain, sometimes I feel like when I share it, people are like, well, he's not her dad. And that really bothers me because I feel like I was a very good bonus dad and we were so close, and it's just a constant struggle, if I'm being honest with you. Like, I hear that a lot, like, oh, okay, I should be over it or something. And I'm not, and it's a struggle and it sucks. So that's why I listened to the episode this week. When I could hear her voice again, it made me feel better. So that is that. And so moving on, awkward transition. I wasn't in the notes, so I apologize. I went off on a rant, but let's talk about the last few weeks parenting the kiddos.
Well, you just don't get a break. So it's not like you can hit the pause button and say, everybody be good for a while. I mean, that doesn't work.
That would be awesome, though.
Oh my gosh.
Get together.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, we ended up having to move one kid from a school to a new school because of some severe bullying that was going on. Here's a plus for blended families, is that you actually tend to have multiple school options because you're normally, I don't know how often you live in the exact same school district. So that is a plus. So we could quickly pivot and have one of our kiddos switch to a much better school where they have a lot more rules and guidelines around that.
And yeah, that kid's been thriving for the last 4 weeks, thankfully,
yes,
knock on wood.
Huge difference.
But I mean, you go to pick up a kid one day from school and they're about to get beat up by about 20 kids, and it's not their fault. Like, it's just a bullying situation, and multiple kids have transferred from that school since. That's scary.
Yeah, it's a little scary. But that's another blended family challenge where you have basically 4 parents trying to navigate what do you do in this situation. And I think the way we handle things of that nature works out very well, and that the parenting and the decision making is ultimately up to Aric and the mom. And when Aric wants input from me, he'll ask, he'll share and talk about the situation, and I'll give him my thoughts. But ultimately, it's not really my business. And so they worked it out and parented that together. And that's the only way that you can do it.
I would just say,
ultimately, there are 2 parents and you have bonus people that can weigh in, but that decision is up to the parents.
Yeah, so Angie and I are on the same page, and that makes it easier in our home. But then, working with the other parent, and that's what we do. That's how we handle the situation. And I do think that works for the best, right? When you're at odds with the other parent, it makes it that much more difficult. So did that, got that child moved to a different school, and knock on wood, things have been much, much better for that individual.
Now, if we could work on using household appliances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a struggle.
Boy, it stinks in here tonight, and it has for a couple of days.
Microwave. You got to make sure that your kids are of age to use certain appliances.
What is the proper age, do you think?
Is it 12, 13, 17?
I mean, I would think by then. We get a lot of burnt popcorn, burnt
other
chicken
things.
Fingers, that maybe almost caught on fire.
I thought I had it under control. I don't understand.
So we have one child that should be heavily regulated and should never use an appliance unless a parent's home.
I told him, I said, look, the problem is when you're cooking. And you start cooking, you start watching your phone. So you forget that you're cooking. So until you can stop watching your phone while you cook, you can't cook anymore. That's where we're at.
No.
Seems pretty important. Don't want to burn the house down.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there.
Well, there's that.
Yeah.
We have another child who has had detention twice.
In 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. So he's really trying his...
That child, we don't want to say he.
I'm sorry. That child is really trying out his career, or he's trying to determine if he should be an attorney that argues all the time and wants to have the last word, or a comedian. And it turns out, I don't know if you know this or not, but it turns out that teachers don't really care for that.
Either one, actually.
They actually don't want you to talk a lot in class, and they actually don't want you to make jokes and disrupt the class. And we have one child that can't quite understand that.
that they're only a certain age.
Yeah.
They're not the boss. They're not the teacher. They're not the parent. And so they feel like they should get, maybe you have a child like this that feels like their voice should be heard. And as we try to explain to that child, yes, we want you to express yourself, but there are rules. And what you're doing now will get you fired one day.
Yeah.
It'll get you fired if you don't shut it down now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting one. So then also, here's the other challenge that we
Could
have.
be a great lawyer, though. I do want to say.
I mean,
could be
he's-
an outstanding attorney.
Could be very much a strong leader.
Points are always on point. He's very smart, articulate, but yeah.
There's that. And then other thing I feel like I struggle with is like, what do you actually punish kids with anymore? An easy no-brainer is takeaway gaming. Okay, no-brainer.
Shut it down.
But then that's really not that much of a punishment when kids get to a certain age because they don't care about it that much. So then you move on to the phone. So took the phone away for a week. But that's painful for me because when they're 14, 15 years old, and they go back and forth to other parents' house, like I want to get a hold of them. I want to tell them good night and I love you and know where they're at and what they're doing and have communication. And so
pick them up from school a certain time.
Like be
That's
able to coordinate all
you're
that.
Like, I can't get you from school because you don't have your phone.
So it's almost like taking a phone away at a certain age where they have to be responsible and communicate with you is a punishment almost to yourself, especially in a blended family where they're not going to be at your house all the time. So that's a struggle.
Can't punish them the way I was punished. That doesn't work these days.
No.
Anybody else get the belt? Hands in the air. I got the belt so much, and I just didn't want it anymore. And so you can't do that. That's not legal anymore.
No, and look how you turned out.
Perfect.
So, right?
You're welcome.
Gosh.
I wish we would bring it back, but we can't. It's not allowed. Not allowed.
Then I think it's kind of back to like chores, work. You're just going to have to work.
You're going to mow. We mowed yesterday. Mow again.
Yeah. There's got to be.
I swept
something.
yesterday. Sweep again.
Yeah. So I did say to the said child that if this happens again, I don't even know what the punishment's going to be. I don't even know because I really don't.
I'm going to be honest,
'Cause
doesn't
I
scare
don't
the
like-
child because the child's like,
It's
well,
just
so it's
going
not
to be
even
bad.
a big deal.
It's
not even
going
a
to be
big deal.
so bad.
What's the worst punishment you can come up with, honey? In your mind, what's the worst punishment you can come up with?
For said child or
Yeah.
just to any kid?
I've got one. You're going to frown on it, but I actually think it would literally work.
What's that?
I would make any of these kids at this point, because you can't touch them, can't take their phones, it doesn't matter. I would stick them in that corner behind me, nose in the corner, for hours at a time, like when we were kids. And you know how annoying that would be to them? Because they have no concept of a nose in a corner. Did that ever happen to you when you were a kid?
Serious?
No, I'm serious. Your parents never did that?
No.
Go stand in the corner with your nose in the corner. And you stood there and you had to think about
I
it.
think when you're like 2. What?
No, I'm telling you, if we did that now
Oh
at
my
14,
God.
15, 16,
Okay, we're going to try it.
honey, what would they do? They'd just stand there for hours.
They wouldn't stand there.
They'd have to. We'd make them. I'd literally sit here and be like, you keep your nose in that corner. They'd get so bored by it. I mean, what else would we do? Because the other stuff's not working. Nose in a corner.
I would make them like go
Nose in a
volunteer
corner.
and feed the homeless or something. Like actually like work and do something to appreciate what they get out of life, what they get to do in
I like
life.
it. You know what she said? Let's make them homeless. Let's put them out in the cold and make them homeless.
I think they would choose that.
Was that not what you said? Oh, you said help the homeless, not make them homeless. My bad. I missed that. Okay. I still think nose in the corner. It could work. It could work.
I don't even know what century you're living in.
I grew up in 1981. I feel like you have to say that sometimes because here we are in 2023, almost 2024. It's a different time.
Okay, I want the listeners to weigh in on this punishment.
I grew up pre-internet, right? So I didn't know all these things, but I think nose in a corner. I can't spank them. Taking the phone away is not working.
Okay, so
It's like nose in a corner. It's like a grounding. It's like a grounding. Remember being grounded? Were you ever grounded?
yeah, I get grounded.
Yeah.
For sure, but this nose in the corner nonsense.
You
I
do
don't
it
even-
one night, they're not coming out of that corner. They're gonna come out of it and be like, I'm not doing that again. I stood in the corner for 3 hours. This was awful.
Okay. So our listeners can vote. You can just message or comment on our podcast if it's like the volunteer at a homeless shelter or this nose in the corner craziness.
It's about 19
We
overnight.
have more stories. Let's move on. We got
Okay.
a lot to
All right.
share.
All right.
You're up.
Well, I struggle with the fact that our kids are never hungry at dinner time. Anybody else with that? Like they come home and they eat. They've eaten lunch at school, but then they would swear they didn't eat. So they come home and eat, and then it's dinner time at like 6 o'clock, and they won't eat.
Or we're dinner's almost ready, and they're like in the candy drawer eating a bunch of candy.
And somebody else has to have this problem. And you're like, stop. I'm hungry. Yeah, we're going to eat in 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't even want that.
Well, I'm not even hungry. And then later
I don't want that was not an option when I was a child. We've given our kids too many options.
we make them eat what we fix.
Sort of.
We don't let them go fix something else while we make dinner.
I'm just saying, like, we didn't grow up that way. Like,
No.
you sat at the dinner table, you ate was there whether you wanted it or not, and it's not that way. I don't know how to punish that, and especially in a world where everyone's grieving, so we feel like can't punish too hard. It's a lot of different things. We have one child that we're on a ramen noodle budget since we bought Hallie's house in Florida, which if you want to rent, you can. We would love that. But that child lives on a Kardashian budget, thinks that they are a Kardashian. We are definitely not calling out any kids, so don't want to by name, but we have a Kardashian child on a
Lot of
budget.
needs. Lot of needs.
I mean, how many dresses do we need for dances in the fall?
I mean, it depends on how many homecomings you get invited
Just wear
to.
the same one over and
No.
over again. It's
I'm
different
going to
homecomings.
disagree with that one.
It's different homecomings.
Yeah, no, but your pictures are going to be posted and they're going to show
Can you go to
the same
Goodwill?
dress.
Can you go
So,
to Facebook Marketplace?
I did pull the ramen noodle budget on the second dress. The second dress was from a Chinese website that we barely got in time. So
I mean,
it was not a Kardashian budget on the second dress.
I get, and it should be, that every boy in mid-Missouri wants to take this child to a dance. I understand that. I get it. I applaud it. They're right. Those boys are right. They should want that. I just don't have the budget, the Kardashian budget for all the dresses. So that's the hiccup in that regard. And then for you, I know you know what it's like to have 3 older brothers, okay? And so now we're in a home, because Lexi's off at Mizzou, where Summer's in a home with 3 brothers.
It's not fun.
I mean, as they said, so this week we had some issues to where Angela, my beautiful wife, asked me to
No makeup on.
talk to the boys, and I talked to each of them individually, and they all gave me the same response, which I was prepared for. I've been a teenage boy once with 2 younger sisters, and they immediately laughed at me, which pissed me off. And then we're like, she needs to get thicker skin if she's got 3 brothers. And then we're like, I mean, what do you want us to do? And I was like, stop freaking picking on her 3-on-1.
Yeah, it's a
3 on
simple
1
as.
is not okay. No, she picks on us back. 1 on 3. It's not 3 on 1. Stop it. Stop it.
Yeah, because, I mean, they're your typical brothers who can be asses to girls.
Speaking of asses,
Yeah, literally, she was sleeping in her room, and
Sunday afternoon.
2 said kids, one goes in, the other one videos, and then one kid, like, farts on her. I mean, that's what we're dealing with in this household. So
She doesn't have pink eye yet, thank
she's
God.
upset. And then we were like at dinner, and I don't remember what she said, something silly. Well, she said what year was 9/11.
We said what year was 9/11, and
She was trying to think through it, and then all 3 boys attack of like, oh my God. You know, and so she's got all 3 of them at the dinner table. After a minute, it's like, okay, back up. So that's typical sibling stuff. So that's not necessarily a blended family thing. I had 3 older brothers. I get it. At the same token, it's like, this needs to be a safe house where our kids don't have to be afraid someone's going to shit on them in their room while they're sleeping.
It was a fart. It wasn't a shart.
I mean, it could have been. Do you know these boys? It could have easily turned into that. Am I right?
But I do agree with it. It needs to be a safe home, all right? Safe home.
Everyone needs to get along, because I don't have space for this constant.
She does not, no.
I have 0 space for it.
Not a good time. She can't take the extra. And then we got one kid that refuses to commit to a work schedule. And that is incredibly frustrating to 2 parents who have worked their entire lives. And we have worked really hard for said individual to have more than we ever had.
It's tough. It's tough when kids are involved in so many sports.
I'm in sports. I can't work.
Yeah.
Okay, I was in sports.
Time management is a struggle. It's something that they all have to kind of learn. So we're battling some of that too.
That kid, I just want to beat. Well, I can't. I'm just saying.
Why don't you stick his nose in the corner?
I will. Did that when he was young, and it worked.
Did it?
For several years. About time to re-up.
Yeah. Okay.
Get him one night in the corner. I'll have that thing fixed
We'll
in
share
no
a
time.
video. We'll share a video of us
Put your
telling the
nose in the
kids
corner,
that they're
boy.
going to have to stick their nose in the corner.
It's not abusive. I just want to point that out. In a society that is very careful about how we treat our kids, nose in the corner, not abusive. Not even a little bit. I'm just saying. But that is true. How do you punish kids now? They get older, especially if you're divorced and they go back and forth between homes. They try to work the two-parent system. I mean, how do you do it? What do you do? Because for us, we try to come up with ideas. Okay, you're not going to game. Well, that's not working. Okay, you don't have your phone. That's not working. That actually hurts us more. I think the nose in the corner could work.
Oh my God.
I mean, what do you got? What else do you have? What do you got over there?
I would just say the thing that I would recommend is just whatever you're doing as far as a punishment is you have to be aligned with the other parent so that it's consistent, so that one house isn't, if you're going to do nose in the corner, then the other house needs to do nose in the corner. So it's not one punishment is worse at one house than another house, and that you are consistent. So that's what I think is top of mind. Whatever you end up doing as far as a punishment, it has to be felt for the child and to know that the parents are on the same page.
Plumbing.
That's what I would say.
We're going to teach the kids how to plumb. And if you get punished, you have to plumb the home.
Do you see what I'm dealing with here? No help.
No, we're in the brainstorming section right now,
God.
where no ideas are bad ideas. Okay? And I just went to the shittiest idea, plumbing. See? So that's where we're at right now.
All right.
Trying
So
to
like
figure it
the
out.
volunteer at the homeless shelter.
Trying to figure it out. Mm-hmm. She's at volunteer at the homeless shelter, and I'm at make them homeless. So we're somewhere in the middle. We'll figure it out. Mm-hmm. Getting close, I think.
Yeah.
With that being said, we do have our first date night in about a month and a half coming up. So that's exciting.
Yeah, where are we going to go to dinner?
Taco Bueno? We don't even have one of those. That's a joke. We do have a Taco Bell. It's cheap. We're on a budget. Balling on a budget.
I think I'll eat my chicken and rice at home that I normally eat. Maybe you can get popcorn at the movies.
We are going to go see a movie. Dinner, we'll see. We haven't decided on dinner yet because we don't actually eat out much anymore. Mm-mm. So going
There's
to dinner.
people in restaurants.
Which I don't mind, but not Ole Miss over here. So we'll figure that out. But we are going to go see this new movie that you're super excited to see. And then you showed me the preview. It looks really, really good. I'm excited about it.
It's called Afterlife. And it's kind of like a documentary proving that there is life after someone passes away. So I'm really intrigued. I've heard it's really good. I know a lot of other mamas that have lost kiddos. We're all talking about, like, need to go see this movie. So I'm sure it'll be a tearjerker, but I just want to know.
She was like, I'm probably going to cry all the way through. I said, that's fine. I don't care.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll let you know how it is.
When we first started dating, and I'd be like, I don't know if you're going to enjoy this. And she would say, am I with you? And that always made me feel good. Mm-hmm. And so when she was like, I'm probably going to cry through this whole thing, in my mind, I was like, am I with you?
That's right.
That's how I felt about it. We'll find some dinner tomorrow night. We'll go to a movie. We haven't had a date night in quite a while. We do try to do it. And it's not perfect. Nothing we do these days is perfect.
No.
So
we're not even striving for anything remotely perfect.
No. Isn't that weird when we met? I feel like we were. We met like we were trying to make everything perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when you realize that you're not in control of anything, you let go of perfection and you just roll with it.
If you haven't seen on the Blended Blessed Always a Mess page, we have the Halle Bears, which are a big hit in our family, in our home.
My family is so amazing, and they're all trying to just turn this pain into love. Like, that's how you get through it. I shared a quote on our page this week that I came across, and it just so resonated with me of you work through the pain by love, by creating something beautiful. And we had a lady make bears for us out of Hallie's jeans, and then she ended up showing us the pattern so we could make more ourselves, because we had more jeans of Hallie's, but now we're actually doing it for other moms that have lost kids. And my sisters and my mom have really just like taken that whole Halle Bears creation under their belt, and they're cranking them out. And I just could not be more proud of them. They're the perfect bear. Like
We sleep with
the
them every
perfect
night.
size. I know. I messaged one of Hallie's friends the other day, and I'm like, I don't even know what. Like, this is what losing Hallie did to me. That I am 46 years old and I sleep with a bear every night, literally.
So do I. And our kids do. And everyone says the same thing. It's the perfect size bear. I talk to it like it's Hallie. We all talk to him like it's Hallie.
Yeah, like
we
if
call
it
it a
falls
Hallie
off the
bear.
bed.
Yeah, we call it a Hallie
Oh
bear.
shit! Sorry, Hallie.
Sorry, Hallie. I mean, it's a way for us to feel connected and / close to her. So we love these bears, and we've dropped them off to other mama bears who have lost their child. And we call, as Angie says all the time, it's taking water back into the fire for those who are currently in the fire. And that's as we come up on the 1-year anniversary of Hallie's untimely tragic passing. That's what we try to do for other parents and families that are going through the same thing. Love these bears. Mm-hmm. They're so good. And your mama and your sisters are fantastic for just churning these bears out for people that are hurting and in pain. So with that, we have made it through this episode in a completely different recording spot and recorded it. Don't know what you'll see of the recording online or not. It's our first time. My wife has no makeup on, so she's feeling self-conscious.
I might have to make it black and white. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, whatever.
I'll do some editing.
You do what you want, honey.
I
Again,
will.
I'm just proud of my Top Gun t-shirt and the fact that we got it done. We got one of those fancy dancy ring lights. Mm-hmm. Gonna go model afterwards. Can I get some clothes I can model?
Yeah.
Turn this into a moneymaker?
Sure.
That is it for this week's episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. If you have parenting ideas, we would love to hear them.
I mean,
for
nose
goodness
in the
sakes.
corner. That
It's not any kind of like nose in the corner. I didn't bring out the dunce cap. That could have been worse. They would have been feeling bad about themselves. Just going back to childhood. If you have ideas, you can send them to us. We would love to hear from you. We appreciate you listening this week. I hope you have a great week as we get closer to Thanksgiving. God bless.
Thank you for listening to Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and at blendedblessedalwaysamess.com.
Reach out to us on any of our social channels. We would love to hear from you. Have a great week.